During my first week at Penn State, I was talking to one of my classmates in my engineering design class. I mentioned to him that I used to live in Jordan, and I asked him if he would ever consider visiting a place like that. He looked at me and said that if he went there, the people there would kill him and his family on sight. After that, I asked him where he's traveled in his life, and he told me that he hasn't ever left the US. To be fair, I don't think that my classmate's mean or a bad person. I think he's the average American college student, which is the problem because views like his are more common than we would like to admit among young people who have never left the US. Fear of the unknown has too many Americans too scared to leave the country. So today, I'll be asking you guys to solve this issue with just eating a meal. Try a cuisine that you've never had, learn about the country it comes from, and use the resources here at Penn State to eventually try going to that country yourself. First, I'll show you how much misinformation is actually driving this problem. Then I'll walk you through 3 feasible steps you can take to actually solve it. The problem is that most Americans never leave the country, and it's not because leaving is dangerous, but because Americans are too afraid, and that fear runs on misinformation and not facts. According to the State Department's passport records, only 4% of Americans held a passport in 1990. As of today, that number has grown to just over 50%. Now, even though that sounds like progress, that still means that almost half the entire country has never left the country, nor even has the option to leave the country. Also, according to a 2023 report from the Association of International Educators, only about 1% of American college students study abroad in a given year, and less than 10% do so before their graduation. That's the world that my classmate grew up in. His comment about getting killed in the Middle East wasn't based on anything that he looked into or had experienced, but it was just something that he had absorbed sight unseen, and it was enough for him to write off an entire region of the world as filled with murderous people. You might be asking, why do people who don't travel often think this way? According to a YouGov survey by Jamie Ballard, Americans who have never traveled internationally say that they're uncomfortable navigating a foreign country, which is funny because they've never even been to a foreign country, let alone having to navigate one. The less experience that someone has with the world, the more anxious and nervous they get about it, and the more willing they become to believe the worst about places they've never even been close to going to. If this pattern continues, we miss out on the growth that comes from experiencing different cultures and leaves for decades old stereotypes about places like the Middle East never actually getting challenged because the people that are most convinced by them are the least likely to ever go and find out the truth. Now, how do we fix this problem? I have 3 steps that build on each other that will not only provide a solution to this problem, but eye-opening experiences and lifetime memories. Now, the first step of the solution is to try out a cuisine that you've never had before. Go to a restaurant here in State College or wherever, and that serves food from a culture that you don't know much about or haven't tried yet. Researchers at the EHL Hospitality Business School say that having a meal from another culture actively combats negative stereotypes and opens the door to more understanding and communication between the cultures. The second step is that once you find a cuisine that you like, just spend 30 minutes looking into the country that it originates from. Find out more about the people, the history, the culture. That's what my classmate was missing there. He just needed 30 honest minutes to realize that his fear had nothing behind it. The third step is the hardest one. Go there. Travel to that country, either independently or through a Penn State program. Visit the Penn State Global Education Abroad website to look up a program in that country. And once you're ready to apply, know that Penn State Global offers a grant that guarantees a minimum scholarship covering your expenses. And if you apply for the National Gilman Scholarship, you can receive up to $5,000 on top of that. Penn State Global promotes these scholarships specifically to make studying abroad financially feasible for students like us. Now it's up to you. You can try some authentic shawarma or empanadas, spend 30 minutes learning about Jordan or Mexico, and maybe you'll eventually come back from the trip of a lifetime with new friendships, a new language, and a resume that stands out. A study from Virginia Tech's honor a study from Virginia Tech's Honors College found that 97% of study abroad alumni found a job within a year of graduating, compared to just 49% of average graduates. Or you can just stay right here for 4 more years and graduate while still believing that entire subcontinents of the world are too dangerous to ever set foot in. Thank you.